Natalie's big deal.
Okay, let's get started. Hopefully everybody on Zoom can hear us okay. I'll start the PowerPoint in just a second, but I wanted everyone to be able to see everybody if we could. My name is Natalie, for those who don't know. I'm the assistant director at the library.
And my name is Kenney Newville, and I'm an account executive with Modern Litho around Princeton.
So kind of what we'll do if you haven't been here before is we will go around the room. You can say your name, your business, and
I think our icebreaker today should be, what should Rebel have catered this event with? No.
I was gonna say.
Here, John Graham, give us some food.
I was gonna say your favorite concert you've ever been to, because we're going to see Aerosmith on Friday.
Oh.
Okay, favorite concert.
Also,
Favorite concert.
when I pause in the middle of this, because I have to check us in for our flight, if I'm in the middle of talking, Kenney will just take over, because we're flying Southwest, and anyone who flies that knows, you have to check in right away.
Yeah.
We'll still be in like the back. Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, so.
Alright,
just
so-
start.
Virginia Steiger with Post Builders, and I actually went to an Aerosmith concert, and it was a lot of fun. And so I could almost say that was one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
I also like Ani DeFranco, and I saw her concert.
Okay.
And that's a toss
I
All
love
right.
it.
Greg Butler of Untitled Digital. We do social media, website development, all that jazz. The best concert I've been to quite a few, but the most recent one that I've been to was J. Cole. Went to go see him in Kansas City. So turned out it was more of like a private or more personal event, but it was pretty dope to see. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Big round chamber, and I'm gonna say Panic at the Disco.
Ooh,
That was pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
yeah, back in the day, that would,
That's how.
that'd be an interesting concert.
It was only a couple years ago, but yeah, it was good.
Oh, was it? Okay. Why didn't know they were still playing it? Okay.
Everyone's still playing together. No bands ever.
I think they were big when I was in college, and then they kind of went away, and then what's his face did his own solo stuff for a while, and yeah.
Okay, Vicky, I don't know if you can hear us or see. Oh, yes.
Hi. Hi. I work with Rebel Catering. We do big, fabulous events. I saw a really good concert this past summer. It was a mandolin player. I forget his name. I was just looking it up, but it was spectacular in this old church, and just the sound. It was just him using his feet for drums, and it was breathtaking. So that was really nice. But I have seen Aerosmith, and it did get canceled because he had an accident, the main guy. But it was really good. It's one of those things where you really want to see it, because you never know when you might not see them again. So yeah, have a good time.
Thanks.
Always a chance we might not see him on Friday.
We're grandparents now, so.
That's kind of where we are.
Okay, so I'm gonna share our screen and Vicky.
Well, you didn't say your favorite concert, and I didn't introduce myself when it was.
You introduce yourself.
No, when it was.
Oh, go ahead. Favorite concert. I saw American Rejects in college. They were really great.
You have a guitar
I do. I saw Sam Hunt at the State Fair. That was also good. I love live music, so whatever. Like I just have to make sure I listen to enough of it beforehand so I can sing along. That's like the fun part. So.
Yeah, so I guess my favorite concert was my second time seeing Kiss. I saw them 2 falls ago in St. Louis. It's a fantastic show, right? And Kiss is always one of those bands where it's like they have a few good songs, but a lot of their other music is like, that's all right. The show is a good spectacle. But I actually have to say the one thing that stuck with me that I didn't expect was the opening act was a music like a rock and roll painter. Wow. And this dude he had a canvas, and he was painting to music and spinning, and at the end of it, I mean, it was Kiss.
Oh.
So we gave it away to somebody for charity, and it was cool. So yeah. Just being in crowds of people after 2 years is simultaneously off-putting, but also cool. We'll see.
Vicki, are you able to see the PowerPoint? I think I shared it in the appropriate way. Yes, okay, cool, thank you. Okay, so as some of you may know, we've kind of started a new thing this year. We're like, 1 month we do an educational program, and the next month we do kind of a case study. So this is the case study month, and we're gonna talk about the Missouri State Fair social media. The Missouri State Fair is held in August. It's held in Sedalia, where I'm from, so I follow it all very closely. And as we kind of went through the state fair, because it's a 2-week-long thing, I kept sending Kenney snapshots. I was like, oh, like, this is really cool, or, oh, they should have done this differently. So when we were trying to come up with our case study, we were like, ah, perfect, like, we have our topic.
Probably the most impressive thing about the state fair social media is the fact that they're able to post it all, because if you've been to the state fair, it becomes like a cellular dead spot. It just doesn't work, like the town just shuts down almost because they can't get any cell service, so, which is really just more of a lesson to be learned, to always be prepared, no matter where you are, especially if you're in an event venue and you need to have, make sure you have what you need. I assume it has Wi-Fi, they
Okay, so. So the first thing we'll talk about, Facebook, they're pretty much on every channel. When I grabbed this image, this is what their Facebook profile looked like. Some things that I think are important to look at. Obviously, they're really big on making sure that the date is up here of the fair. I think that's good, but I pulled this last week, so the fair was over by then. So it would have been good for that to be updated a little bit sooner. And I also think it's important to note this, Callis and Associates Inc. is responsible for this page. That will come to play later, but just I like to point it out here. But it's very obvious. I mean, they do a great job. Their logo is their profile image. It's very distinguishable. You can read it. Yeah, it fits where it needs to go. Their cover photo is the theme of the year, so that will probably change as they go. So.
And I don't think we have a picture of it, but it was optimized for mobile. That's super critical, is always make sure that it works on both. And now obviously there are different sizes of screens for mobile, so you want to kind of get a range. So bug people around you, hey, what type of phone do you have? You have a small one, you have a big one, let's put those pulled up. Just make sure, because if you use Canva, or even if you get the dimensions, they're always changing. So it's always better just to make sure it fits. So this one did, and now they have a new one, by the way, which is just a picture from the event. So they swapped it.
You're ruining it. I forgot what we were doing. Okay, and then Instagram, again, they do a great job. Their logo fits. They have the information here. They just have their website as the link in bio. If that's 100% where they're trying to push people, then that's fine. Like at the library, we use link in bio because even though I can send people to the library website, there's so many different places on our website for people to find information. And if I'm doing a post about BookBox or a post about signing up for your library card or anything like that, I want them to be able to go to that direct web page instead of having to like navigate our giant website.
Are you gonna mention the tree later?
No.
Okay, so you can all see his imagery. One of the pet peeves for a while there, it was pretty common for people on Instagram to be like link in bio, but then the problem is next time you post and there's another topic, you got a different link in the bio. So part of the evergreen content, you either gotta go back and delete that link from the bio, link in the bio, or you have Linktree, where you can have a stand-in URL, which will allow them to click, and it creates basically a landing page where they can then click into the various topics that you want to send.
And if you look at the library's Instagram, like we have donate, we have sign up for a library card, sign up for a blood drive, reserve a book box, look at our event calendar. So all of that stuff that people would normally be interested in, it's all there. I also like, and you'll kind of see this as we go through, some of their content is the same on Instagram as it is on Facebook, but a lot of it is different. And I think that's probably because they obviously have hired a marketing company to do their social, so that's their job to do it differently. But that really is the best practice. And we talk about Silver Dollar City all the time. I love Silver Dollar City. I think their social media is some of the best that you can have. It drives me nuts. They post the same stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram all the same time. That's the biggest.
Different platforms, different audiences. For example, Natalie's on TikTok, I am not.
They do
I
different
prefer
stuff.
Twitter and Instagram. She prefers Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. Also, your layout there, I mean, that might bug some people, might not bug other people, but I'm not a big fan of like the grid right now. Not a fan of the layout of the grid, so just, maybe if you're playing some 4D chess and you're thinking 3 moves ahead when you're posting on Instagram, there are some really good examples we've talked about in the past of how to orchestrate a grid so that when someone clicks your profile, they're immediately wowed by, a cool shape or it's all congruous.
Okay, so engagement posts. They do a really good job with this. Again, obviously their theme was buckets of fun, so we hope you were able to fill your buckets during your trip to Missouri State Fair. How did you fill your bucket? Drop a picture below to show us. So at this time when I pulled it off, there were already 66 comments. So people were commenting on their favorite images, and that's great content. Plus, it's also really great because then you look at those those photos and you're like, oh, I'm gonna use that one next year. I'm gonna use that one next year. So it's a great way for you to source content.
Well, I still want to send you
Okay, so branding and hashtags. Again, this donkey.
I just like to go out. I was going to say something about the hashtags on the last slide, but then it dawned on me just immediately. I was like, that's the next slide. So,
so obviously they have their set. Little Bart is this character's name. Lots of fun. Most fair. They do use hashtags a ton on Facebook, which isn't super necessary. You can use them, but really Twitter and Instagram are where hashtags make the most sense. Even Instagram's kind of getting away from it, but.
Facebook's push for hashtags was like half-hearted at best about a year ago. And we were telling people, oh, you don't need to use it, and all of a sudden Facebook's like, hashtags, and you're like, what? And now they're going again. Well, they are there, but they're skewered. It's unnecessary.
So when you have your brand, like think about your business, think about your organization. What is your branding? Do you have a character that you use in things? Is it just a voice? Obviously we've done the Wendy's social media analysis, and they have their fiery redhead, which is kind of just a personality as well as their little cartoon character. With the library, our branding, we try to be kind of funny, not like we don't want to stuff. When people think of libraries, they automatically think of like stuffy, uptight, telling you to be quiet, and we want to be fun and.
But they still will tell you to be quiet if you're not in the library.
We really don't. Whatever.
But that goes back to what I was talking with you about prior to the session. We were talking about the characterization of the brand, right? So develop that, figure out what that is and move forward, and try not to deviate too much. Marketing is all about experimentation, and then you examine the results, and then you move forward with a different direction. Or the same direction if you just happen to strike gold, I guess, but you won't forever. So definitely give it a chance to actually survive a few posts, a few months to see if that works for you before you switch it up. So.
Okay, personality and engagement. Again, I love when they do all this. There's so much that goes on at the fair, so they have lots of content, lots of photos. At the end of the day, they kind of do a photo dump. That's just all the cool things that happen, all the great pictures that they got. So it's kind of up to you with ways that you can do that. Sometimes I like to save them and do different posts about the different events, but with so much going on, sometimes it's easier to just feel like all the cool stuff happened, like come back tomorrow. So it's kind of up to you. The one thing I do always like to do then is save all of this, because all of these pictures will make really good content for next year. So if it's a repeating event or something that you use again, at the library, September is always National Library Card Sign-Up Month. So I will always use photos with people and library cards this month.
Yeah, always keep your photos. And don't just assume that they'll be there for you later, because whenever you're going to need one, you don't want to have to go back to your Facebook album and put your down your grid on your Instagram. But this is going to be like a massive stadium wave right here as people put their hands up, who they don't. But who clicks on a picture? Like if this popped up on your timeline, let's say it was you were a big fair goer, or maybe you're just even a lukewarm fair goer. This pops up on your timeline, and you just happen to one picture catches your eye, so you click it. How many of you are going to click through at least a few more of those dark pictures before you back it? I do. Even if that's my ticket to the exit, it's like you walk in because you saw something in the window of the store, but you have to go in the front and out the back, and so you're just like, okay, well, I'm gonna continue walking and looking while I go, and maybe I'm not really paying attention, but the point is, you know, these photo bombs, so to speak, they do get views. People will click through them, maybe there's something in that +12 that I don't see yet, and I need to see it.
Or
So
maybe I was
that's
at the
it.
fair that day and I wanna see if they got my picture.
Exactly, yeah, if
Or
you've got,
I know.
yeah, if you've got like Thursday Night Live, I mean, there's gonna be people that are gonna click through every single one of those pictures to see if they can find themselves in that.
And here's another example of them kind of doing it. This is different because this, they made a collage. So it wasn't like the photos where you click through it, it was just the collage of everything. But then it says drop your favorite show rating picture below. And so you can see it has 55 comments, which is not bad. To get people just showing all their stuff.
I guarantee you someone clicked that picture and was trying to cycle through all those pictures. It's broken, Facebook's broken. That's more pictures recently. But no, emoji, that always pops up in these types of events. You know, maybe it works with your brand, maybe it doesn't. You won't know until you try. I would argue, just like Natalie's library doesn't want to be stuffy, that even if you're a high-profile law firm, I don't think that it means you shouldn't use an emoji. I think it depends on the situation. Emoji, I guess I would say, are culturally acceptable these days. They are, you know, it works. A lot of people for a while, and I think even today, believe that they kind of seem childish or maybe a little immature. But I'm telling you, if used correctly, they work really well.
They also do a really good job of tagging their partners. So you'll see that all over the place that they tag. And I would almost guarantee that these 3 shares, one of them is Missouri 4-H and one of them is
How do you tag them?
You do the @ symbol and then tag their name.
And usually a pop-up, pop-up box will pop up, and then you can select which one. I will say,
If it doesn't-
Facebook's super funny.
I'll say, if it doesn't pop up right away, you can go look at their Facebook page, like, the West Side Business Association is JCWSBA, like, and it'll.
So you'll actually type out @JCWSBA, but what'll pop up is Jefferson City West Side Business Association. So even though you started typing JCWSBA, it'll be now, so.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it can be finicky. I tried to type Natalie in a private, or not private, a personal post the other day. And it didn't work.
Yeah. You know,
But-
it's tag your dad, like, what if I ever tagged your dad?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'm a junior, so pay attention to the profile picture when you do that. You don't want to tag the wrong one, just in case there might be another one. So,
Crowdsourcing content. So one of the things they do a great job of is they have a selfie spot of the day, or a selfie spot, and then they do a selfie of the day. So a selfie spot, selfie of the day. They really should come up with a different name for that. But it's cool because they do it, and then whoever the winner is, they get a free pizza from Casey's. So they post these throughout the whole 2 weeks of the fair. And again, it's great content for later on.
yeah, especially if you're doing a giveaway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who doesn't want pizza?
and who doesn't want to take selfies? Everybody.
Well, older people like me don't.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I've like almost walked into the back of more old people going, oh, let's stop. Oh, well, I guess they're stopping. But that's when you just, if you catch it early enough, that's when you stop because you realize they're stopping and then you just get in. Give them a little treat for later. Because the generation that grew up with Polaroids doesn't always check their selfies. Think about that.
And again, they also tagged their partner that was helping sponsor that. Contests, this is also a great way to really drive content to your page. They do it all the time where this Missouri wine would be hiding with 2 tickets to an upcoming concert. Whoever found them, got it. So they do this all the time. The one thing I would say that is obnoxious to me on this, so it says found, but I'm like, does it mean I need to find it? Does it mean it has been found? Like, I wish they would be like, the context over, or,
Yeah.
you know, something like, so they always,
Yes.
yeah, so it's just kind of confusing with that part. And a lot of their photos kind of look similar, so there would be times when they would do it too much that I would just scroll by because I was like, oh, I've already seen that post. And then I realized later, oh, I hadn't, it just looked the same.
Yeah, careful with the all caps. Because I can see that attention fairgoers on the grounds. Do you know where this photo was taken? That being the original post and then found was added in later.
But
But
it's almost like, again, I needed like the emojis and to like enter, drop down, like there, it just could have been done better.
yeah, so just be, think about how you wanna modify if you've got a timed post, if that makes sense.
Okay, this was my biggest pet peeve of the entire state fair. They went live every single day, and every single day, this was all I could see in my feed. We're live on our fair feed, sponsored by Callis, notice that's the name of the company who's running their stuff. The marketing partner, I don't know what the live was about.
We assume it's a partner,
Well, yeah, I assume.
could be partner.
I don't know what it was about, I don't know what they were talking about, I don't know what they were trying to show me, and I will tell you, I got those notifications every single day, because I'm set up, like, I love the fair, and so I want to see all the things, and I never clicked on it, because this is what every single one said.
We wanna be like, well, Callis, if that was part of your sponsorship, maybe you should get your money back, because half your message is gone, but then also you post.
You don't want to read the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and it was, every single one said this exact same thing. I was like, what are you showing me? Is it rides, is it corn dogs, is it cows, like, what are we looking at? I don't.
Yeah, and, I don't know, in the spur of the moment, maybe corn dogs being the name of your live, that might not sound like a great idea, but guess what, now we're pointing out, hey, this isn't, maybe corn dogs isn't a bad idea, because you know what you get. You don't even really know, you don't even really know what it is, but even what it says, that's not.
I'm telling you, man, it's my least favorite thing.
Is there even a way to see what it actually?
I mean, if you click on it and then open it and then you're watching the video,
But even then, doesn't it have a limitation for character?
probably, yes.
Keeps you up there.
This is a different conversation. Puns and humor, I love puns, I think that's one of the best ways to, add some fun personality to your post, so having a version of your electric co-op building to get electrified. So a lot of times if it's a topic, like I'll just Google like, like library book pun, or we're doing, the library is in the Lincoln Homecoming Parade, and so we're handing out Tootsie Rolls, and so I Googled Tootsie Roll pun, and so our little card is, the library has an important role in the community.
Oh, that's cute.
Right, it's so funny!
That's a big
So, thank you, Google. So you just Google something fun, and things will pop up, you can always find something.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Take what other people are doing and make it yours.
That's all I got for humor? Okay.
I was gonna make a comment about flying high at the fair, but I figured we wouldn't have to.
Okay, and then sharing other pages content. So obviously at the fair, there's lots of different elected officials and governmental agencies who are doing things. So when the governor was there, they talked about stuff, and then it makes easy content. They just shared it, tagged them, talked about it. So when you have these partners with your organization or your business, sharing content with them. Even like this upcoming weekend is Oktoberfest here in town, so like that's, I know we're missing it, sorry. We're in Vegas. We're missing everything this weekend while we're in Vegas. But that's a fun, if you're a community group, that's a community event, it's totally okay to share that. Even like Rebel talking about sharing about it, being like, what's your favorite German food? Like, and then people comment with all the food that they love.
Well, and just to use an example of, someone who's in the room, Rebel, like, I know that when I worked for Whaley's Pharmacy, we did our Christmas party at Rebel every year. And Whaley's would post about it. So if I'm Rebel, I'm thinking, they're going to post about this, I'm gonna share that post. Now, everybody that follows my page knows that Whaley's Pharmacy trusts Rebel and appreciates them for catering needs. And this is an opportunity for other businesses to go, yeah, you know what, I can rent that space out too. So if you've got an event, whether it's the fair or or you're catering, or you're just having a sale. Maybe you're doing a sale and you've got local personalities coming out. Like you've got Erin Hart with Cat Country coming out, and she's gonna do a live. Then you know what? You know that you've got at least one post in the chamber because she's gonna post about it, and then you share her. The best salesman, and social media is an element of sales, right? The best salesman for your business or your service is its customers, not you. And so, you should use that to your.
I think too, talking about Rebel, one of the things that I loved this summer when Johnny was in Martha's Vineyard, like he posted all kinds of cool stuff that he was like making out there and events he was at, and sharing content from other pages that were tagging him. I think it's so interesting because then I think people back home are like, oh, like look at it, like we have this chef who's at Martha's Vineyard.
So when you bring it back,
cooking food, like, okay, we need, so I think it's one of those things too that just, it's like when you have a consultant come in and you can say so many things, but when a consultant says it from outside, then everyone believes that person and they're like, I've been saying that forever, so.
Nope.
Yes, Vicky.
So since we're talking about that, do you recommend that we put something in a contract that says we might use your video? Because I generally take the photos. I mean, Johnny had posted that stuff through the summer, but like when we have events with groups, they might not want us to advertise with them. Like,
so this is a good place to distinguish between you taking pictures of what your client or customer are doing in your business and them taking pictures and publicly posting it. So if you've got, again, let's go back to the Whaley's example for you, but if you've got Whaley's Pharmacy posting, we took our client, our staff to Revel, and we had a great time for our Christmas party. Here's a bunch of pictures of people being goofy. You know that they're okay with those images being used publicly. And so you can go ahead and share that. Don't copy and paste, right? But share the post. And then ultimately the original owner is the one who owns it. If they want that stuff taken down, they just take it down and now your share is gone. And so if you're taking pictures, however, of, I don't know, Hawthorne Bank enjoying a C-suite, meet and greet, and they're not going to post that on their public Facebook page, but you're taking pictures and being like, oh, Greg Bexton drinking with this person, and that could cause problems. So this is a perfect example of the governor shared these photos and even tagged the Missouri State Fair. And so as the Missouri State Fair that you can absolutely share one. So. Well,
and I think too, just having that conversation, it's different with you because you definitely have contracts with people. A lot of the stuff, like the library, I'm just like, hey, can I take a picture for the library? And then we take pictures. Like, we don't have like official documentation on things.
But you got a verbal.
Yeah, and sometimes in big events, we don't, because it's a public space, and we don't have to.
Well, why should you? I mean, it's public, and they know that. They
Yeah.
should be aware.
And you don't listen, I'll say this, anytime you get into an argument with someone on social media about whether you can or can't take their picture, even if your attorney and God tell you can, it's a losing battle. You want to just go ahead and remove it.
We had someone in a parade, their kid was in a parade, and they messaged the page, and they're like, I cannot believe you posted my kid, and I was like, they were on a float.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? So like, we took it down and put like a sticker over that kid's face, and
they got the old winky tongue out.
And they probably weren't happy with that posted, either.
Yeah, but I was like, you're on a float.
Yeah. Everybody took pictures like that.
Yeah, oh, yeah, 100%, so.
Dude, you say it, they were on a float. I was remembering the Lovely Island Boys on a float. She's on a float. You can
And again, crowdsourcing content. Yeah, that's our daughter, her best friend, our niece and nephew. So again, at the fair, they have all these stations set up that encourages people to stop and take photos. It encourages people to then share those photos. So using that, I think later maybe we will talk about influencers. I don't remember if I named it that, did I?
No.
Here's another one, this is Catherine a long time ago, she didn't have most of her teeth. So this was a fun thing, their theme was come home, it was a driver's license and take pictures. And then people could use it, again, on social media, so, yeah. And then this is one of my favorite booths, because it's the My First Fair, so the first time you go to the fair, you get your picture taken. And they even have the hashtags down here that you can use, so they can find it later.
And again, this could be a touchy subject because you've got children, but if somebody takes a picture of their child, if Sharita takes a picture of Avery right there and posts it on Facebook, tags the Missouri State Fair, uses the right hashtags, in my opinion, that's like 3 different okays to share that picture. It was posted publicly because I could see it, and I'm not Sharita's friend, that's the Missouri State Fair. She tagged the Missouri State Fair, and then she used the hashtag that we said, hey, use a hashtag. The whole point of using a hashtag is to get the word out. So that's 3 okays. So,
Yeah.
you know.
And this is one thing that I do think that fair could do better at when it comes to like influencers. There are people, like one of my friends from high school who still lives in Sedalia has a whole series, it's hashtag what Whit ate. And she goes and eats all the things at the fair. Like, and she reviews them and talks about them. And like, that's content that I'm like, God, it's all public. She tagged the fair, the posts are public. Like they should be, like people look forward to her posts all year long. And not just people that are living here in Central Missouri. So, I think that they could do better about. No, 1250.
Okay, just check.
Okay, 1249.
Sorry, guys, just one last seat.
Priorities. But I think that they could do better, with those partnerships with those influencers and using that content, because it doesn't even have to, like, she posts that stuff regardless, they don't need to pay her, like, they can share, I mean, they would be better if they paid her, but they don't have to.
No, I don't think you need to pay her. And then there's the whole payment thing, right? If you're a creative in this room and you've never been told after asking, well, how much would you like to spend on this? And they're like, oh, you're getting paid in exposure and experience.
Yeah.
I just had that conversation with our marketing team in Litho a while back. But the point is, though, there are times where brands will be like, oh, this small thing is just trying to latch on to our success. Why wouldn't it be a good thing to have that person who exclusively reviews your fair's food front and center on your page to try and attract more people? A high tide raises all ships. And so definitely play the game. You don't join social media to block people. You join social media to have a conversation.
And influencer marketing, we've talked about this before too, it is the marketing of right now. Like, it's such a big part of marketing on social media, so using that it will only help you. National days, so Facebook does a great job now. If you're in business manager, business suite, they keep changing the names, man. Meta
This is not like
business,
4.
something. It a lot of times will list like the upcoming days, so that's helpful. So like this was National Ice Cream Day, so this was July 17th, like the fair hadn't even happened again. But obviously they're reusing content, pictures that they've taken at a previous fair, and using them. So again, one thing that they could do, in my opinion, a little bit better would be to talk about like this ice cream, and now I can't think of the name of the ice cream place, it's very well known, it's been there since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I know exactly which booth it is, that's Pineapple Dole Whip, so I think like saying the name of where they get the ice cream would be better, but.
And I can see where they would want to do that because maybe you're getting preferential treatment to one vendor over another, but I'm here to tell you that any vendor in that position would be grateful for it. So rather than not calling attention to anybody, it's better to call attention to one. My point is, especially if they have a handle on tech, you get a little more exposure, goes back to what we were saying earlier, get some
You
shares.
can even tag it down here with a hashtag, so it doesn't even have to get here.
Yeah,
Also, this drives me nuts.
I was wondering.
I hate when they put the hashtags in the caption, like my personal preference is you put the hashtags in a comment. Because then I just don't like how it looks, and when you share it, it's a personal preference, so I don't like it.
You're digital, what's your thoughts?
I usually go with that.
Hey, if you couldn't tell, I also pick things that annoy her.
But I get what you're saying, like having it in the comments, I do that too, so
Right.
it works both ways.
It, I mean,
It
and
does work both ways.
that's the thing, is like, it doesn't change like the searchability, so.
This is a stylistic choice, in my opinion. At one point in time, it wasn't, but now it is. And so, there's multiple ways to place a hashtag.
I have a question. So, I always do it like that. So you're saying if I post something, or by utilizing the National Day, something that relates to business, and then I put the hashtags, I don't put the hashtag underneath what I'm promoting, but I go in and make a comment right away with the hashtag?
You can.
Really?
What I would recommend doing though, and I think Natalie would agree with this, I'm sure this is your strategy, have those hashtags copy and pasted, so that right when you post, you go in and you're, that way you're not the second comment and you're not ready because you're typing all these hashtags.
One
Also,
step further.
if you're scheduling content, unless you're willing to make an alarm.
You also, I have a keyboard shortcut
That's it.
in my phone.
Yeah.
So like, you can do keyboard shortcuts, and so I have one that's MRRLL, and that's all of my standard library hashtags, and then I add anything else so I don't have to type every time, hashtag JCMO, hashtag library card,
So
hashtag library Instagram.
this is technically an autocorrect feature,
So it is.
right?
It says.
Where I think this is, okay, well, come on, this is your trademark thing. You talked about this for
I
years.
know, I love it.
So what you can do is you can go into your dictionary in your phone. And you can, you know how every time you type that one friend's
It's
name
text
and
replacement.
it replaces every time you're like, I didn't mean that, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go in and you can actually make it so that it doesn't happen again. But you can also go in and you can set your own text replacement, and that's what she does. So MRRL will always autocorrect to a section of hashtag.
MRRLL.
Excuse me.
Do you know how I learned that? Because I also type Merle all the time in text messages, and I was like, why is 17 hashtags? But I added an extra letter.
It's an evolution, you know. But you also could have MRRLL2 or MRR. So in other words, if you've got multiple channels, or multiple brands, multiple platforms, you have different reasons to have different hashtags, then you're all set.
Yeah, and I've, if I may,
Yeah.
I've used, what is it, MetaSuite,
Yes.
and so I even, like, as I run my little business account page, and I save the hashtag, so I guess they have like a section where you can actually save
Oh,
them.
yeah.
And then when you go back and post something, you just basically just click what you want to
Nice.
put on there. So that's what I find easy to do with Meta Business Suite, just saving the hashtags.
I do like Meta Business Suite. It's the
So that's
best
a good thing from a
evolution.
desktop or from a
desktop.
Is it better than what they had before?
I think so. Because they had like pages, and then they had creative suite or creative something, and business, and then, and now it's all kind of combined.
And there's a period of time where like for scheduling content, I prefer business, but the creative aspects of the creator studio was better. It was a pain in the
Yeah,
butt.
okay, now they've kind of merged in both, so I think it's much better now. Okay, again, National Cow Appreciation Day, so finding days that kind of match, with your brand and what you do, like, obviously, I don't think National Cow Appreciation Day was on the Facebook, like, standard calendar, but they have marked out when those days are. Again, the library, like, September is National Library Card Signing Month, like, there's certain days, National Read and Ebook Day is coming up, so.
Okay, so why do they use 3 or 4 periods before, and now they're using 2 periods? Now that bugs me. I can't unsee it. No 3.
So, we already kind of touched on this, but reusing old content. So this is before the fair started, and so they're using pictures that they've used in the past, or in the past. So thinking about if you have events that you know will happen every year, like Living Windows, we've been Living Windows every single year. So trying to get lots of photos one year so that you have great content to advertise it the next year is very beneficial.
They also aren't capitalizing the first letter of their hashtag words.
But they were earlier. Sorry, I'm not.
Should they
Well, not
capitalize?
necessarily.
I mean, does capitalization matter in
No.
hashtags?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Here's the deal is,
They're not.
well, okay, and to be fair, the reason why they're not doing, they were doing it Facebook is because it's part of the messaging. It's easier for people to read letters, the words that are jumbled together if they
Yeah.
have the capital first letter, which is always a problem, because who hasn't tried to do a hashtag with a capital first letter and run into an article like A or or I, and you're like, I can't have two capitals in a row, what do I do?
Oh, yeah, right.
So, with this, though, this is more of a filing system, is a good way to put it. So that's gonna be more of, if people make it down there, chances are they're more likely to find the Missouri State Fair content by already looking up Midwest moments than they are to go into the fair content and click Midwest moments. So it's a cataloging system, so it's not formal. It's not really meant to be really read.
Okay.
It's just there to.
I think too, when you're taking photos at a current event for a previous event, making sure that you have a good representation of the audience and of the people that are there. There are some festivals here that Kenny and I have helped with, and I'm like, do we have anyone else but old white people? Please.
And as someone who hopes to eventually be an old white guy, I'm telling you, you need to make sure that your images represent your audience.
And your crowd, so, just being intentional about that.
Now, at the same time, forcing it and having okay, so here's the black kid, here's the Chinese kid, that can get a little weird. But
Yeah.
just the point is, just look around and be aware of what you're posting.
For sure. I can talk about influencers. Look at how much of an influencer we are.
Are you on there?
Well, that's all, these are all of my photos.
Okay.
This is all of us. But I think that's, again, it's opportunities where, and we kind of touched on this already, but looking around and seeing, people who actively engage are actively posting, especially on channels like Instagram, where it's very public and it's very influencer heavy, sharing those and interacting with them. It's great. I mean, because all of these photos are great photos that they could be using for anything. And I would, yeah, take a photo. I can't do it. No.
So I think it's great now that Natalie considers herself an influencer, but I just want to see, by show of hands, who else in this room is an influencer?
We're all influencers.
I guess it was in a way.
Yeah.
That was a trick question.
That's the plan.
There are 5 influencers in this room.
Okay.
Everybody in this room has power to persuade somebody in their
Maybe
life.
raise her hand.
Yeah. But you also got the ability to influence us if maybe, I don't know, Johnny messes up a dish and he
Clearly.
crab cakes. Anyways, no, everyone in this room is an influencer. If you have social media, you are an influencer. Yeah, I'm not saying you're getting paid or you're getting free products or whatever. Maybe you are, but you have the ability to sell people on things that brands don't, that other people don't. That goes back to what I was telling you earlier. It's who's the #1 salesperson for your business or service? It's your customer, because they're the ones that are gonna be able to persuade other people, because the presumption is that they have no skin in this game. There's no benefit to them going out and telling you that, I'm not gonna get paid if you guys book a catering event through Rebel. I imagine you're not gonna pay me if I'm like, hey, you should totally check out this guy. So, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry. Everyone in here is an influencer. So when we say influencers, we really do mean the people who are engaging at the Missouri State Fair enough that they're taking pictures, posting them on Facebook, especially if they're tagging the page, especially if they're using your hashtags, they're influencers.
Okay, update. So this is another thing that I like, especially if you're doing event planning. So professional.
Sorry, I'm taking this away.
So what we do at the library and what the state fair does.
Oh, just go back. This is
Is we have generic images that have that says state fair update. We have at the library, I have a generic image that just says update. I also have ones that say closing early, closed, just closed, late open, any like weather, like thing, like whenever it's snowing and icy, I have those images ready to go so that it's easy for me to post. And I learned that the year that the tornado came through, because we had a huge event at the library the morning after. And I was, Google was in the library, and we had to cancel. So I was like frantically trying to find images that like looked okay and post all these updates that were happening, because it was like, we are having it, we're not having it, it's gonna happen late, blah, blah, blah. So, things like this state fair update, this parking update is huge. They do a really good job of being like, hey, gate 5 parking is full. They're very quick about it too, which is nice. And all the images are the same. They didn't go out and take that photo.
Because they don't need to, because the whole point of the photo is to grab your attention and then
Right.
shift your gaze up towards what's the update.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I know that one time I got into a bit of a verbal altercation with someone. I was standing over there, they were sitting over here, I don't remember who they are. And they were like, I said, social media never sleeps. And they were like,
She was like, I get off.
well, I get out at 5 o'clock, and I go, your social media doesn't. And have fun 9 o'clock the next morning when things blow up, because you will be missed. And the thing is when you go on vacation, you want to be able to enjoy that vacation. And one of the nice things about Natalie batch creating these updates for the library is instead of her boss having to call her when she's in Vegas tomorrow, and Natalie has to sit there on the phone and try to figure out how to post this update, she knows where the folder is, her boss knows where the folder is, and she can just pull that and post it.
It happened when we were in Branson one time, too. Something, snow or ice, something happened and it closed, and she handled it. Like, I looked at it like hours later and I was like, oh, hey, look at that, I didn't bother.
Now, generally, I do prefer those batch created images to be more, less photography, because make it more creative, like a nice colored background, some nice text. This is all fine, but the problem is if you have multiple parking updates, your picture is going to lose efficacy because people are going to remember that image. And then the next time they scroll, they might be like, oh, that was from 5 hours ago, I've already seen that one, rather than, oh, there's a new update. For whatever reason, pictures are retained in the brain more accurately than certain design elements.
Yeah, hey, do your tickets.
I am right now.
So
That's why she got quiet. See, I told you.
Well, so my question is, so there, to get them to, like, I would like to do a historic restoration update, or new build update, or, things like that, because we have a lot of stuff we're doing. We do all these different categories, commercial, industrial, ecclesiastical, you name it. And I would like to have a picture for that, but are they gonna read it, like you said, if the picture is exactly the same? I might have to update the picture with the new, it could be an update with a new picture of it in progress or something,
So,
right?
well,
Would you recommend that?
Absolutely. Listen, if you want to create a new image every single post, that's the best, in my opinion. That's the best.
Okay.
It's a matter of whether or not you're capable. of doing
Yes,
it.
right.
Time constraints, bandwidth,
Yeah,
what's the urgency of the situation. One of the things you could do with this, for example, let's say you created this in Canva. Again, just free resource available to everybody for everyone to use. All you have to do is just delete this picture, put a new picture in.
Yeah.
And maybe move the words, but I wouldn't. But just try to put the words in a place, put the logo and the words or whatever. I don't necessarily.
make it
need the logo.
consistent.
But put it in a place where no matter what, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna have to move them. And then every time you have an update about a specific project or building or whatever, you just swap the picture.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
In that instance, chances are it's not an urgent update more than likely. It's more of a, hey, this is some cool things we're working on right here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the generic ones are the emergency ones, the reflex posts.
Oh.
Like we're closed today because of snow and people need to know about it, so I don't want to have to create something. I don't want to go outside, take a new picture of snow, swap it out, make sure the words work. It's just snow day, closed.
Okay,
And
yeah,
chances are around here, you're probably only need to post out once.
okay.
And so, yeah. So if you've got got a very specific, like for example, park cars with the traffic cancellation.
Yeah.
But if you got very specific, you can swap images.
This is another thing that annoys me, you cannot click a link in an Instagram post. So it can be found out, it cannot be found there, link by. That's why it's gonna have the link tree, because then they could put that in there with it, but this doesn't help anybody.
And for the record,
And they hired a marketing firm and they should know that.
I was about to take a different tack. I was saying, for the record, we've made mistakes too, but I mean,
Yeah, but where should the content be? Should it be at the top?
No, this is fine, but where it says information about event ticket refunds can be found
you
at.
can't.
Oh.
Link.
See how
On
it's
Instagram, you can't click that link.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I have to go to my browser and like type in
No,
HTTPS.
double click,
But hello, I
open
will
as
do
like
it.
I'll copy.
Yeah, I won't do it.
Yeah.
And most people
So
won't.
you should do,
No,
so you should just say, can be found at the link in bio, and then you have the link tree in your bio. then-
Yeah, and that's, by the way, that is exactly where you want link trees. The last thing you want in your bio is somebody coming across some other thing, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go find out about this, derby race, and I'm gonna click the link, oh, it's a cancellation refund ticket page, this is, no, so you do want a link tree. If you're going to do this tab, you're gonna take this. I would.
I don't know how to do link tree.
It's easy, if you just go, they walk through it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go ahead and Google Linktree,
Okay,
and it'll help.
okay.
Follow up, again, if it's an event, or something that's happening once a year. They do a really good job, the foundation did, it's hard to believe that this time last week, we're all living the state fair green. And so it's asking you to share your post of you wearing Missouri State Fair merch on your first day of school. And so then they shared it. And so that was just a really good way to keep people engaged with your page.
Now, a really good way to make people not engage with your page is by writing a novel. And quite frankly, like, I know that was too much text because I was bored listening to her talk about it. Just copywriting. I mean, get in, get out. What's the hook? Give me the action you want and let me go. People today cannot read the same number of words that we could even 10 years ago.
So
And
how
not
many
lose
words
interest.
do you recommend?
There's no magic number, not that many.
But it should be no more than a sentence?
No, but not a block of text.
Right,
Okay,
that's a
and
lot.
It's a wall of text.
They could have like broken it up into like different paragraphs
Yeah.
or, I mean, yeah,
I mean, you could even do a carousel with multiple images to get the message across.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So just be creative. If you've got a lot of information to convey, well, first of all, you've got a lot of information to convey. Ask if that's an appropriate forum in which to post it, right? But if you've got a lot of information to convey and you know you have to do it on Instagram, then why don't you just be creative with it, put it in the pictures. Give people need to scroll, people need to click, they need to interact, especially with iOS 16, where now you've got that haptic feedback, that sweet haptic feedback, and you want your phone to vibrate just a little bit every time you touch it. And so you don't want to hold your phone long enough for people to literally, the screen shuts off, you
Yeah.
fall asleep,
Yeah,
the boss comes in and fires you, it's all because of that post.
yeah.
Okay, be timely, so this is what Kenny alluded to. at the
Be
beginning.
timely is a fantastic.
So it was really funny, so we were talking about before everyone got in here, usually we're working on this PowerPoint like yesterday / this morning. Because we were for Vegas, we knew we were gonna have a lot going on, so we got it done last week. And so I sent it, like, I usually find all the content and upload it, and then Kenny makes it really pretty and like tells me everything that I did that needed to be adjusted. Because it didn't make sense from my brain to the PowerPoint. But
much crisper my screenshot?
I know, it is so much better.
It's crisp.
I know.
It's a really.
And so I sent him a screenshot, I was like, hey, I need you to add this to the PowerPoint, because at the beginning, we were like, hey, this is like a month and a half later, they should really change their cover photo, and they must have heard me complaining about them, because then they changed it to this, shot of them at the fair, so that's their cover photo now. So it's just kind of funny. And then also planning ahead, so they also did this post where it's like, hey, anyone ready for the 2023 State Fair? And then they went ahead and put the dates on there. So if it were me, I would probably actually, on the caption of this photo, maybe they do have the dates for next year.
Join us next year.
Yeah, so.
We always just run it along the wall.
I know, well, because once I'm at the top, I'm like, oh no, we that.
when she's not looking at me and saying, okay, come on, we gotta get done.
Okay, how many hashtags should you use? There's not really a magic number. I try to think about the hashtags that I follow. So like here locally, if you're trying to reach a local audience, I always recommend doing hashtag JCMO because everybody follows that one. And then I like, again, for the library, like libraries of Instagram, Bookstagram, those are all ones that are super popular in our field. Even with Rebel, like foodie, that kind of stuff, like just kind of looking at what hashtags bring up your audience.
I guess the short answer is many are necessary.
And then if you post an old photo, do you need to mention that it is not in the moment? I don't think so.
Can't you just put it in there saying, on this day, this happened, or?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're doing. So like a lot of times, like for Ice Cream Splash or for Living Windows, we would use old photos. And so we would just find one that kind of fit the message. We didn't say this is from 2014 or whatever, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing is like if you had a major change to the object in the photo, maybe it would not be wise to use it just because it won't convey an accurate representation of the thing that you're trying to represent. Obviously, don't be misleading. But I think if you posted a picture of that girl eating ice cream, it could be any time in the last 5 years, and it's irrelevant. The point is, if you can go to the state fair today, you can get some ice cream. There's your ice
We
cream.
ate that ice cream when I was in the 7th grade. Like that ice cream has been there.
Evergreen content, evergreen ice cream.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I do have another question. So I'm needing to do social media for 2 locations. And I've done, I need to work on Martha's Vineyard and Jefferson City. And I've read that you're supposed to like not break them up. Like do them like it's under one umbrella of a business. Don't have a East and a West or a Midwest. What do you guys think of that?
I think it could go, so for the library, we used to have a Facebook page for every location. And we quit doing that because staffing wise, we did not have enough staff to do a good job at any of them. And so we're just super clear now, if something's happening at the Osage County branch, it's always blah, 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 blah at the Osage County branch. With you though, like, they're so different, like, very few people are maybe going to come from Jeff City to Martha's Vineyard or Martha's Vineyard to Jeff City. I could see more of an opportunity of making multiple pages, or, and I've not messed with this a whole lot, but I know in the new Meta Business Suite, there's a way where you have like the umbrella and then you have the location pages, kind of like when you think about like Target and ID. Like I can tag our local Target, but it's managed by, like, it's a bigger umbrella.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've played in there at all with the location stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to dig.
For different businesses and all, I think,
Right.
but all in the same Meta Business Suite, you could just kind of go from page to page.
Yeah, that is the nice thing with it.
I personally would say, keep them separate. For this instance, you've got 2 different markets, you've got probably 2 different, I assume, menus. Like availability of items is probably different with Martha's Vineyard and Jefferson City.
The pricing.
Pricing is absolutely, should be different. It isn't, you're missing an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like your Jefferson City is pretty reasonable, so your Martha's Vineyard is just like dirt cheap. But no, I think that there's enough difference. You can maintain that brand, and I gotta be honest, I don't know that I ever see an opportunity where you join those. The only time I would ever see an opportunity where you join that is if you raise the Jefferson City location to the standard of Martha's Vineyard, and then you had like 4 or 5 others around the country, and now you've got a brand. If they're all in line, you know, think of I don't know, I'm trying to think of a, well, let's just pick low-hanging fruit. Chick-fil-A. Probably not a whole lot of difference between Chick-fil-A here or Chick-fil-A on the strip in Las Vegas, and there is one. I wasn't looking specifically, I just casually noticed that there was a Chick-fil-A.
What?
So my point is, I keep them separate. Because they're the same brand maybe, they're the same ownership, same personnel, all that stuff, but they're different enough.
Is it two different target markets? Is that?
It sounds like Martha's Vineyard in
Yeah.
Jefferson City, Central Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, those are big.
They're-
And
they're-
Yeah, I mean, like, that's one, like, Sweet Smoke here in town, like, they have a downtown and a west. Like, I feel like those could probably be one page and just be clear about which one you're talking
Locations.
about.
Yeah.
But they also have one down at the lake, and so then it also kind of makes sense for that one to be separate-ish.
But it's still Central Missouri, and I know a lot of people here, they
That's
spend their
right.
time in the lake, they spend their time in
That's
Jeff City,
true.
so, I mean, you know, if you had one in Kansas City, or if you had one in St. Louis, that is a different market. I would argue it's a different market, therefore you can justify different pages, but.
We just have such good reviews.
I
You know?
know. You're wanting to-
You might look at it about the location, because then it stays the page, and so the reviews stay on, but then the location, you might just look at that in the meta business, because it's a
Okay.
newsletter, and see what it looks like.
Okay,
Well,
maybe
I can
keep
see-
Instagram together and then 2 different Facebooks.
I could also see, by the way, where like Jefferson City, knowing that it has a venue where they can eat, that happens to also be Martha's Vineyard caliber, would be a massive upsell, right?
Right, to some.
Personally, Martha's Vineyard people probably don't have a whole lot of elevated respect for Jeffersonians, and so it could potentially be, you know, that's just something to consider. I'm not,
Right.
I don't think it's the nail in the coffin, I think it's just something to.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, anything else?
Super.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Chamber, social media forum, Facebook group, join it,
JC on social media forum.
engage.
JC Mom.
Yeah, jump in there. I mean, people ask questions all the time. I generally view this as a pretty safe space for all local businesses to throw ideas out that they're chesting around, kicking around. So get in there, engage, and yeah, have a good time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right.